Well, I hope you're all well. I know nothing feels stable right now, but I hope you're settling into wherever you are. I'd like to say that my family looked a lot like this, but really it's probably been a lot more of this. However, we're safe, healthy, and trying to do our part to stay away from others. I hope you're able to distance yourselves from others as well and are staying safe and healthy. We have to remember that we're all in this together everywhere around the world. I'm going to miss seeing you guys in class, and you will probably enjoy this format better than I will, but we'll do the best that we can. You are a great group of students. I'm confident that you'll be able to learn the information. I'll just miss reminding you on a regular basis to stay here and not here, but I'll make sure I fit it into the modules in some way. The other thing is I'll have a hard time not teaching with my hands because I got to be typing on the computer. That's no fun, but you got to do what you got to do, right? We're going to get through this, and one of the ways that we're going to do that is through adjusted expectations, enhancing the modules and changing how the class is structured and trying to make sure that it's going to be able to give you the information that I think is really important has changed some things and has made it difficult. But I believe that we can figure out how to make it work. I know I'm going to bumble some things in the videos, and in this one you're going to already tell that I've bumbled several times, but I'm not going to go back and redo it. We're just going to charge on with the expectation that we're going to get through things. And I do want you to know that I'm still as committed to teaching you the content as I ever was. And maybe now more than ever, the content is important to you. One of the first things that we're going to do to adjust expectations is not just have you guys be patient with the modules, which we hope that you are, but we're also going to try to have you recognize that we're adjusting expectations for you too. So one of the things that I'll explain that we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the final exam, and we're going to do a written paper that is going to have a much more clear expectation, and I hope will have a significant decrease in your stress, but I also think that it will decrease your overall workload. So we hope that that helps. One of the things as we move forward that's going to be critical is going to be communication. We need to communicate early and often as we try to resolve things. So from here on out, we're going to be in constant contact with you. You can expect responses from us in 24 hours. If there's any question that seems like it applies to a lot of different people and not just you, we'll try to take that and we'll try to push that back out through the announcements and through emails to the class. Make sure you're checking your email that's connected with Canvas. Make sure that you're checking the announcements. If something comes up that needs fixed, we'll try to fix it as quickly as we can. One of the things that that means is we need to know if something's not working right. So if you see something, say something. We're going to take the kind of military approach. See something, say something. If there's something that needs to be dealt with, please reach out and we'll try to fix it as quickly as we possibly can. We just need to know what's going on. So be in constant contact with us as well. I'm going to share my screen and review some of the content that has changed. And that will hopefully be able to allow you to understand what is happening and hopefully be able to understand some of the expectations for the rest of the semester. So another reminder, just the world is in chaos. We need to have expectations. And like I just mentioned, communication is going to be key. Email quickly, and we'll get back with you as quickly as we can. The other thing is that we're willing to do Zoom meetings upon request. So we'll be in touch with you as often as you need to. As far as the assignments, this is the thing that I wanted to do this video for and have expectations of your assignments. The modules are going to still look pretty close to what they did, with the exception that there's going to be content added about the application of material. So instead of being in class where we practice the application, you're going to practice that online. in the modules. The quizzes, however, are going to be the same. We haven't adjusted the quizzes. They're the same quizzes that were before, so they will still focus on the content part of things. However, there's going to be some application into the modules. And so we've added a bunch of material in the modules, and we've synchronized all of the classes so that each module, each class, each section, the modules, see, there was that blunder that I told you I wasn't going to fix, and I'm still not fixing it. Anyway, the modules were going to be due on Wednesday at noon. So the quizzes close every Wednesday at noon. Now, to encourage participation and practicing of the application content, we're going to have a number of different videos added to the modules to try to help teach and demonstrate the principles of what we're teaching. But we're also going to require you to post on a discussion board and to give each other feedback on that discussion board. In order to make that happen, the way it's going to work is that you have to have posted your first original post to the discussion board before that Wednesday at noon time frame. That means that you have to allow yourself enough time to have both taken the quiz and done the posting before Wednesday at noon. So try not to cut it close, because the way that that posting is going to work is going to be something like, we're going to give you a vignette or some kind of short video to watch, and then you're going to have to either describe a goal that you're going to make as a result of that, or describe how they can set a boundary, or that you're going to ask some questions. So there's going to be a specific thing you're supposed to be responding to in the discussion board. As you do those original postings, you're actually responding to the question. So if it had been in the past, it would be in the module of empathy, let's say. If it was the empathy module, I would have said, here's a scenario, write a good empathetic statement for that scenario, and including the 3 important parts of a good empathetic statement. And then you'd post your empathetic statement in the discussion board. And that posting, that original post, has to be done by Wednesday at noon at the same time that the quiz closes. Now, there is going to be some time for the secondary part of that posting, which is going to be the responses or the feedback that you're going to give each other on their posts. So back to the empathy statement. What would happen from Wednesday at noon until Friday at noon is people would be able to give each other feedback. And you'd go on there and you'd say, oh, I think that your statement was too simple because you basically said that that would be difficult and it needs to be more specific. Or that was a good specific statement to make, and I think that it really resonates because of X, Y, and Z. So during that Wednesday at noon until Friday at noon, people are going to give each other feedback. So during those 2 days, you have to make 2 responses to somebody else's original post. The groups are roughly 8 people, and so there will be 8 people in each group, and you'll respond to somebody else in your group's original post. Try to spread those around, make sure that people are getting feedback on all their posts. And just make sure that your feedback is helpful. When I describe what the final paper is going to look like, you'll see why practicing and giving each other feedback on those original posts is important. Okay, so that's the modules and the way that we're going to do the practicing for the modules. Make sure that you're participating and you're contributing not just good feedback, but your original post should be of high quality as well. The portfolio assignment that's due towards the end of the semester, it's going to not have been changed, although I did record a video that helps to explain it some. But take a look at that. If you have questions, email me directly and we'll get at those. Like I said, the final exam has been canceled, and in lieu of that, we're doing a final paper. There's a lot of detail and content in Canvas about that final paper, including a video describing what we're looking for in the paper. But the summary of that video is that you're going to be given a case vignette, a little short story about a family that we're going to give you 2 weeks ahead of the due date of the final exam. And so on that date, which I think is posted. It's posted. I'm not going to try to guess what the date is. Again, blunder number 2, or probably blunder number 3 or 4, but I'm still not editing it. Okay, so I put the due date in there of the date that the paper is, which is Wednesday of final exam week. 2 weeks earlier than that, we will hand out the case vignette. That case vignette will allow you to know how to answer the questions that are going to be in your paper. And so your paper is going to go through the helping process. You're going to cover things like, what is your theory, and it's a specified length. How are you going to join with them and describe the joining process? What is that phrase that you're going to use that says, before we talk about the problem, we need to talk about getting to know your family? That helps me. How are you going to judge and gauge engagement in the process? Make a good empathetic statement and describe why that's a good empathetic statement. So essentially, from this little short case study that you're going to be given, you're going to have to go through the helping process down through making goals and setting boundaries and making sure that you're walking them through things. I should see your theory throughout that process. The paper is going to be a max of 5 pages long. So you're not going to be able to drone on forever. It is intended to not take you 14 days to write the paper, but it is intended to test you on whether or not you're getting the knowledge throughout the whole semester and the helping process. These are the same types of content that would have been on the final exam, with exception of how we're delivering it. And so I'm hopeful that this simplifies and facilitates things, decreases your anxiety about what an exam can look like in a distance setting, because in order to make an exam functional, it becomes a very complicated and messy thing. And I don't like the meticulousness that things have to be evaluated at to do a distance effective exam. So that's the assignments. Now, back to kind of some of the other things. I think that one of the things that is a reality is that because you're not in class, I can't make sure you're staying here instead of here. And as such, I've really kind of backed away from the content that was intentionally intense, the content of talking about abuse, the content of talking about chronic illness and illness of family members. That doesn't mean that I don't think that that content is important. ACEs are still tremendously important. It's tremendously important that you learn to evaluate and pay attention to those. It's tremendously important that you remember to stay here and not here. But I don't want to put you in a situation wherever you're at, in whatever context you're in, where I can't help walk you through that process. So the case vignettes are going to be a lot more mild. They're not going to be intentionally focusing on helping you walk through understanding ACEs. This is the part of the class that I grappled with for the last couple of weeks, because I feel like understanding and working through ACEs is as critical as any part of the class. I feel like it, for educators, for human service people, it's one of the things that you have to learn to pay attention to, because the kiddos in your class or the adults that you work with are in large part going to have experiences with those, especially that high risk group, especially that 20% of the class, of the academic class that you're working with, that you have to meet with parents about. Especially the human service people, the people that are coming in to see you that need to talk to you, they're going to be people that likely have had a number of ACEs. So it's really important. This is one of the things that, if I could say any kind of challenge, it's that not being able to walk you through mentally in class how to talk about and walk through some of those ACEs. I don't feel like it's a setting where I can push to have a conversation about that. Why I'm bringing this up right now is that I think that from those ACEs, you should be able to go back and say, these are the ones I know I'm going to have a difficult time with. And I want you to I want to challenge you. Hey, there's another blunder. I want to challenge you, though, to get some help in processing that. Talk with somebody that you trust, talk with a therapist, talk with another teacher, talk with another professional, or talk with a family member. Talk to somebody about how you can make sure that when that ACE comes up, you respond here instead of here. Think about over the last couple of weeks how many times you've seen people responding in amygdala brain. I don't know the last time, not probably since 9/11, have I felt like so much of our country has been in amygdala brain, has been in trauma brain, and for good reason, right? Even at 9/11, the risk to a majority of the population was nil. I don't know when the last time that the world has been in amygdala brain more than it is right now. When you're in class, when you're in the modules and you're working through these things, or when you're engaged in other activities, make sure that you're doing self-care. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself and reminding yourself to stay here and not in a trauma brain. It's not always possible that. The reality of where we're at right now as a world is that a lot of the stuff we're experiencing is dangerous. Our amygdalas are firing because there is danger. But we have to be able to say to our amygdala, I get it, there's danger, but let's respond in the best way to keep us safe. Or, I don't feel like there's danger, but it seems like I should feel like there's danger. What do I need to do to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and taking care of those around me? During this time, please stay strong, stay grounded, practice those breathing techniques that we covered in class. Remember, the key is twice as long breathing out as breathing in, okay? There's gonna be difficult times ahead. We're going to adjust expectations in the way that we grade. We tried to make the rubric for the final paper crystal clear. We tried to make the rubric for the portfolio very clear. Use those rubrics. If there's anything you don't feel like you understand, we can either talk over the phone or answer your questions via email, or we can talk via Zoom. Set up a time to talk so we can process and deal with those things. We don't want you to feel like it's confusion right now. We're decreasing expectations. We have to follow the rubrics. And so one of the things that we're doing to decrease expectations is we're being really meticulous. Is it in the rubric? Does it say this is what needs to be there? Follow those to the letter. And we will grade those to the letter too. And so recognize that we're being patient. Be patient with what goes on in the modules. Because of not having a lot of time to finesse them, they're going to be clunky. It's going to be awkward. Some of the content is going to be really good, and some of it's going to be clunky because of trying to implement kind of the application portion of things. Know that we're here, that we can answer questions or meet with you as needed. And take care of yourselves and take care of your families. We will be around for the rest of the semester via digital technology and via digital interaction. But know that we're looking at this stuff daily, and that we're there, and we're still just as invested in this content as we were before. This will blow over. You will all become teachers and human service workers and be working with the people who are now living in the aftermath of all of this. That's going to be something that you need to get prepared for. And learning how to work with families is just as important today as it was 2 months ago, except for the world has experienced as a whole an added trauma. The world has experienced a significant impact of safety and security. And so we need to be prepared for what that means. We're going to do our best to try to help prepare you for that. Stay engaged, stay invested, and you will be prepared. Thanks, and we'll see you in the modules.